Hello, everyone, and welcome back from spring break. I know it was a little weird with us being off of school for a week, then taking spring break, and now here we are again. But we're going to try to finish up chapter 9. Just so that you know, Miss Jostin and I are going to be sharing videos. So for those of you in my first period class, sometimes you'll hear my voice and sometimes you'll hear her voice. For those of you in our afternoon class, we're just going to go back and forth as usual. So you never know, on a given day it could be me or it could be her. We're going to start out with our section 9.7 day 2 notes. So if you don't already have those printed out, I would recommend going ahead and doing that before you continue with this video. We're looking at the difference between linear, quadratic, and exponential functions. And taking a look at questions 1, 2, and 3, you should have each one represented once. Think back to what you learned earlier in the year and decide which is linear, which is quadratic, and which is exponential. Feel free to pause this video as you need to as you go along. When we take a look at numbers 4, 5, and 6, you see that we have tables, and in each example, the change in x is going up by 1 every time. What's happening to the y is a little bit different. In number 4, for example, y values go from -4 to -2.25 to -1 to -0.25 to 0. And that doesn't show any sort of pattern that we can tell. That's why we wanted to introduce to you the idea of common second differences. So go ahead and see what's happening to go from one y to the next, and then do it again. Do you see that? Even though the first set of differences didn't show us a pattern, the second set of differences showed us the same thing happening all over again. Those common second differences are a mark of a quadratic relationship. My suggestion would be take a look to see what happens from one y to the next. And if you can't tell a pattern right away that is due to addition or subtraction or multiplication or division, just try again. And I bet that those second differences might just pop up. Take a few minutes and see what you can do with numbers 5 and 6 to determine whether they're linear, quadratic, or exponential. For numbers 7, 8, and 9, you should be able to tell based on the picture that you have whether you have a quadratic, linear, or exponential relationship. Take a moment and finish 1 through 9 and pause as you need to. As a little summary, I hope that you found that number 1 is linear, 2 exponential, 3 quadratic, 4 quadratic, 5 exponential, 6 linear, 7 quadratic, 8 linear, and 9 exponential with that J curve there. In number 10, we're going to try something new. The question says, what if you know the vertex of a parabola and one additional point? So you'll see that we have 4 points that are on the graph, 4, 0, 5, 4, 6, 0, and 7, -12. The hint says find the equation in vertex form. So I rewrote vertex form, which is also shown in example 3 higher up on this page. In order to write the equation in vertex form, you need to know the vertex and one additional point. So the first thing you should do is see if you can remember which point is the vertex. Take a moment to think about it. Hopefully you picked this one. 5, 4 is the vertex because the value of y equals 4 is not repeated anywhere in that list, and it's also sitting between 2 repeated y values. Hopefully that sounds familiar. You can pick any of the remaining points as your x comma y. You just cannot pick the vertex as xy. So I'm going to choose to do this using our vertex of 5, 4, and then the xy of 6, 0. By taking the model written in red, you can plug in the values for y, x, h, and k, leaving a as just the variable a. Then use your order of operations to try to solve for a. Start out by subtracting 6 minus 5 and then squaring that so that you end up with 1. So that will give you 0 equals a times 1 plus 4. Then go ahead and subtract 4 from both sides. So you end up with -4 equals 1a, or just -4 equals a. That's helpful because it tells us that our parabola opens downward and it's also narrower than the standard y equals x squared graph. At this point, in order to write our equation in vertex form, we're going to leave x and y as variables so that, again, any point on the graph could be plugged in there. But we do need to know a, h, and k. Those will have to be plugged in using the numbers that we have. So your final answer should be y equals, in terms of the a, we solved for that, and that was a -4, times parentheses x minus h, and our h is the 5, quantity squared, and then plus k, and the k is the 4. So our final answer, y equals -4 times x minus 5 squared plus 4. And from there, you should be able to see that that is a shift of right 5, up 4. It's flipped because a is negative, and because a is some sort of a 4, that makes it again narrower than your standard graph. In the past, we've learned how to write equations based on points given in a table. We know how to do that for linear equations and also for exponential equations, but not so much for quadratics. So we just talked about how to write the equation in vertex form when you know the vertex and one other point in a parabola. But what if you're not sure where the vertex is? Take a look at the top of page 2, and you have an example where x's keep changing by 1, y's seem to be changing all over the place. So we don't even know for sure that this is a quadratic graph. But it doesn't seem to be linear, and it doesn't seem to be exponential. So at this point, there's a good chance that this is quadratic. Try finding the second differences to see if they're common. I hope that you found the same thing that I did. Our common second differences of -8 showed up over and over again with this table. That means that we know for sure that this is a quadratic equation. But how do we figure out how to write the equation? Well, I'm glad you asked. That's exactly what the information is a little bit lower on the page. Using your graphing calculator, you can enter the values of x and y, and then the calculator will tell you what the equation is. The nice thing is that this does this for quadratics, but also linear and exponential relationships if you're interested. So please go ahead and take out your graphing calculator, and to enter the numbers into your lists, you'll want to go to Stat. So first of all, go ahead and see on the page there where I circled Stat. You can see it right there, and that's what you want to press. It's just to the left of the left arrow. When you press it, your menu will look like what I have here on this screen. So go ahead and click Enter. So it's Stat, the highlighter will go straight to Edit, and then click Enter, and you can put L1 and L2 numbers into your calculator. This is what you should see. So here's my calculator. I'm going to go to Stat. Edit is right there. I'm going to click Enter. I already have the numbers in there. So go ahead and enter them, please. And when you're done, go back to Stat and now go over to Calc. You'll see that there are many different options and you do not need all of them. But option number 4 says LinReg. That's what you would use if you have a linear relationship. QuadReg is for quadratics, which is what we have right now. And if you wanted to scroll all the way to the end, you'd see option 0 has XReg. That's for exponential regression. So that's a good option too. For our cases, we need number 5, which is the QuadReg. Some of you may have a calculator that just says QuadReg, and that's all there is. Go ahead and press Enter. As long as your X numbers are in list 1 and your Y numbers are in list 2, you'll be fine. But if yours looks like mine, it's going to ask you questions. Where did you put the X's? Where did you put the Y's? Well, I put the X's in list 1, and in order to type that in, I'm going to go to the second button and then number 1, and that shows up L1. Likewise, for the Y's, that's list 2, so second and 2, we're all set. You don't have to worry about filling in any of the rest of these. When you go to calculate, you should end up with a screen that looks like this. Strangely enough, that looks exactly like what you have on the bottom of your notes as well. Wow, mind blown, I know. Okay, so taking a look here, you have all the calculator instructions that you'd need. In case you want to come back and look at this again, there is a little bit of a note that exponential regression does not allow for the Y values to be negative. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where that happens, just don't type in the negative sign. And keep in mind that for your final answer, you'll need to put a negative after the y equals. So taking a look here at my example, if you had all y's are negative and the calculator told you to write y equals 5 times 2 to the x, it would really be y equals negative 5 times 2 to the x. I don't think that's going to happen very often, but just in case it did, I wanted to let you know. All right, so in example number 10, we had only 4 points, but we could have found the equation in standard form the same way that we just did. As a matter of fact, I gave you the same equation twice on purpose. In number 10 on the other side, we found that equation in vertex form, but if you wanted to, you could practice using the 4 points that we have right here. You could put those in your x list and y list and find the equation, and what you should end up with is the same thing that we just did using the table at the top of the page. Y equals negative 4x squared plus 40x minus 96. I realize these equations don't look identical, but they are mathematically equivalent. And if you were to plug them both into the y equals part of your calculator right now, you would see that all of the y values match, the graph is the same, etc. Here, let me show you. I've typed the vertex form into y1 and the standard form of the equation into y2 using my y equals. Now, if we go ahead and press graph, there's the parabola. It was blue, then it was red, but it's identical. And if you use second graph to get to the table, you'll see, sure enough, all those y values match. Those two equations are mathematically equivalent. All right, to finish out these notes, I just wanted to give you a few tips. I'm not going to go through all step by step. In 11, 12, and 13, you are looking to generate the models for the following sets of data. Your first step is determine, are they linear, quadratic, or are they exponential? Once you do that, you can use the old forms of the equations that we've talked about before. Linear, y equals mx plus b. Exponential, y equals a times b to the x. Or quadratic, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. You can use the methods that we learned earlier in the year for the linear and exponential, or if it's quadratic, you really probably need to use what we did today using the technology. If you keep on scrolling down, you'll see that in 14, 15, and 16, we're asking you to write your own example of a linear equation. You can make this as easy or as complex as you'd like. The point is not for it to be complicated, but just for you to be able to go through the steps. So let's say that you make the equation y equals 2x minus 5. You would then take each of those x values, plug them in, find the y's that go along with them, and then use the methods that we've been talking about in these notes to figure out, did you actually get the right equation? So ideally, the answers to A and C should match for 14, 15, and 16. Please make your own equations. Don't just use the ones that I wrote in the answer key, because I want you to prove to yourself that you can do it. I believe in you. All right, last but not least, number 17 and 18 is more like, those are more like 11, 12, and 13. Here are tables again. You'll notice the x values keep going up only by 1, and then look to see what happens to the y's. Are they changing by addition or subtraction, multiplication or division, or is it a case of the common second differences? Please go ahead and check your answers against the posted answer key before you start your Math Excel. Tonight's homework is to complete the section 9.7 Math Excel assignment, and we will go ahead and record your scores tomorrow after 3:30. So due date for the Math Excel is Tuesday, 3:30 p.m. Having said that, you'll have more information on Google Classroom about the review stations and also about the Chapter 9 optional test. Yes, that's right, I did say optional. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, please go back and check your email and check the post to Google Classroom. Thanks very much. Know that we're here for you and we're happy to help. So send us an email or send us whatever questions you have. We can even have Google Hangouts if that would help, so that we can share a whiteboard and try to get everything figured out. We're here to help, and we hope that you're doing well. Take care.